Hi there, it's Jenna from scribblinggrace.com. Today I'm doing a Bible journaling tutorial on a 2-page spread of watercolor branches. Now I did a page just like this years ago when I first started Bible journaling, and it was always one of my favorite Bible journaling pages, and so I decided to recreate it and show you guys how you can do it as well. So it's great because it looks so complicated and so advanced, but it's really simple. It's just the same leaf shape over and over. So I'm going to show you how to go ahead and do this. I also did a page very similar to this in acrylics, and I have a tutorial on that one. So I'll put that link to that acrylic page, as well as links to all of the supplies that I use in this video and anything else I mention in the blog post goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/watercolorbranches. And I'll put that link in the description below, and you can head on over there and find all the things you need to create a page just like this. So I am starting off by, I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm using a small round paintbrush and my Kiritake Gansatambi watercolor set, and I just took the brown color out of there, added some water to it, and I'm just very lightly using just the very tip of that round paintbrush to create some kind of curved branch. The whole point to this, it's not going to be anything super duper fancy. It doesn't need to be perfect. The great thing about doing something with nature is that nature is very imperfect. So if you have a little wobble in your branch, that's totally okay. And then I'm just repeating that same type of curve on the bottom of my page. And so again, I'm doing a 2-page spread here because I'm working on 2 different verses, but I thought that I would just incorporate them into one Bible journaling page. So I am working on Psalm 35 verse 27, which says, "Let those who delight in my righteousness shout for joy and be glad, and say evermore, great is the Lord who delights in the welfare of his servant." And then I'm also working on the opposite page on Psalm 37 verses 3 through 5, which says, "Trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act." And I'm using the ESV Bible, so that is the ESV version of those verses. So I love both those verses, and I just wanted to incorporate them together in one page. So I am starting on my branches here. As you can see, I have this in real time so you can see the speed that I'm going. You can see how I'm working with this paintbrush clearly. So I'm basically just trying to create a same leaf shape over and over and going in a slightly different directions. So some are faced more vertically and some a little more horizontally. And I'm just starting off with the base towards that branch that I drew, and then I'm just applying pressure and releasing that pressure to create a point. And then I do that again on the opposite side to create that more oval shape of the leaf. And here I picked up the brown instead of the green because I wasn't paying attention. So I just cleaned off my brush, dipped that in water, and took a Q-tip to pick up as much paint as I could. So that's a good thing about watercolor, is if you work quickly, you can usually take off some of that color, so you can't really tell. And I'm just going to go back over this with the green, and you'll never notice that I had ever put a big brown leaf down at first. So mistake covered up there. So again, remember, even if this page doesn't turn out exactly like you want, if there's mistakes, if there's wobbliness, it's not about creating like the most perfect, most beautiful page. It's really just all about spending time in the Word and worshiping Him and focusing on those verses that you're working on. Again, I'm just creating these leaf shapes all around those branches going on either side of that branch. Again, some going horizontally and some going vertically, applying pressure and releasing that pressure to create an oval shape with that paintbrush. If you're uncomfortable by the whole pressure, releasing pressure thing, just take that tip of your paintbrush and just paint a leaf shape. It's really nothing fancy. You don't need to have any crazy technique or crazy talent or artist skills to Bible journal and to create something really pretty with watercolor. It's really as simple as just taking a paintbrush, or even you could use a Q-tip or whatever you want to use, and just try to create some kind of oval shape with a point. As you can see, a lot of my leaves are different shapes completely. So some have curves in them, some are more straight. It's the great thing about nature again. There's a lot of imperfection in it, so it doesn't need to be planned out ahead of time. I'm, again, just totally winging this, trying to fill in some blank spaces and make this branch look just very full of leaves. But you could also do this in a totally different way. You can make this a lot less leaves and have a more barren branch. You could add even more leaves and make them closer together. You could make them more uniformed and put them on either side of the branch just perfectly together. So there's so many different ways that you can go about this and make this your own. So I'm just putting this all out there because I really just want to encourage you to give it a shot. I hear just so many times that from people who say that they want to create pages like mine, but they're not creative enough or they're not talented enough, and I just hate to hear that, because you are creative enough and you are talented enough, and I just really believe that, and so I just want to encourage you to do that. So that's pretty much it for this branch. I'm just going to go back over with the brown again. So I did that branch very lightly at first, the brown part of the branch, just so I could have a guideline on where to add my leaves. I sped up this part, doing the other branch the same exact way as this first one. And then I'm just, again, just going to grab a bit more of the brown paint and go back over that branch part and connect all of the leaves together. And that'll finish off these simple but beautiful and interesting branches here. Just using the tip of that paintbrush, again, just any small round paintbrush. I just use any cheap paintbrush that I can find. As long as it's synthetic, I'll get those cheap value packs from the department store or the craft store. And I'm just taking a little bit darker brown here to connect all of those leaves into the branch. And I'm kept mine really thin, just using the very tip of that paintbrush, but again, you could totally have creative license to do your own things. You could totally make the branch thicker if you so choose to do that. Now I'm going to go ahead and add lettering to highlight the verses that I'm working on. So on the left side of the page, I'm going to write out delight in the Lord, and on the right side of the page, I'm going to write out commit your way and trust in him. So again, the verses I'm working on are Psalm 35, verse 27, and Psalm 37, verses 3 through 5. And I'm using my Tombow Funosuke brush pen here, doing my classic brush calligraphy. And if you're new here, I have tutorials on how to create brush calligraphy like this with the Tombow Funosuke. So I'll put those links in the blog post goes along with this video at scribblinggrace.com/watercolor branches, and you can find out exactly how I create lettering with this. And they also, my lettering tutorials come with free printables and free practice sheets, so be sure to head on over there. So if you noticed, I wrote out my lettering first with the pencil, and then I went over it with my Tombow Funosuke with doing the brush calligraphy, and then I decided that I wanted those downstrokes, which is that thick part of my letters, to be even thicker, so I just thickened those up just by pushing that marker down on the downstrokes again a second time. And then I'm just going to take my round paintbrush again, and I picked up a little bit of a red color and added some simple little dots all around my page. Of course, you'll see in just a second, before I finished drawing, I did this little flip here and smushed some of those dots, because the dots weren't completely dry, so they ended up smearing a little bit, and tried to fix it, but couldn't fix it this time because it was a little too dry. So some of my dots got a little smushed, but that's okay. So if you're going to do the polka dots, just let it dry completely before touching it or trying to move it. But again, it's not about creating the perfect page. That imperfection does not matter at all. It was just a really wonderful time spent in the Word. So I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, please give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And that's it. Be sure to go to that blog post at scribblinggrace.com/watercolorbranches. All right. I hope you have a wonderful day. God bless.